Hi there, today's video will be regarding the Wee Mobile Gamepad. Hope you enjoy it. As it's customary with videos like this, first we'll do an unboxing and see what the controller comes with. Opening the main package shows us that we have the controller and sitting beneath it an accessory box. Opening the case, we see that there's some documentation and a pretty nice velvet pouch. The pouch actually is separated so you can store your phone and your gamepad in the same pouch while traveling. Unfortunately, all the documentation that comes with the controller is in Chinese, so it won't be helpful at all. Going through the rest of the things that were in the box, we see that we have a pretty nice micro USB cable for charging the device. There's also a mysterious USB device, which unfortunately its separate instructions are also completely in Chinese, but after a bit of investigation, it turns out it's intended for remapping your virtual buttons to your gamepad buttons. It probably would require root access, and personally I'll be skipping that. Now, before we head into playing some games with the controller, let's check out what actually it offers. As we can see, it appears that we have a full set of buttons similar to an Xbox or PlayStation type of controller. We have satisfyingly clickable bumpers and triggers, 2 analogs, 4-button action layout, start select, a nice D-pad, a custom button that is used for pairing, and it's quite unique telescopic functionality, providing you the option to use it with a variety of sizes of phones. Okay, so just before heading into games, we have to pair the device to our phone. We can do that by looking at the bottom right side of the controller, where there is a simple switch that we can switch to the right, and once that's done, on the left side we press and hold its custom button until a blue LED starts flashing quickly. That will represent that the controller is in pairing mode. Once that is done, we head to our device and check available Bluetooth devices. If for some reason your device doesn't see the controller at first, just switch off and on your Bluetooth and hopefully the controller will appear in your available devices. Now, as we're finished with the pairing of the controller to our phone, we can head into some games that would really benefit having such a controller. First game that we'll be checking out with the controller will be Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. This is a port of an original 2005 Xbox game set in a quite unique world, providing interesting gameplay which is a mixture of third-person action, platforming and first-person shooting mechanics. The game provides native controller support with options to compensate for the lack of clickable analogs. I've actually tried to play this before, but I'm not the biggest fan of touchscreen based controls, especially on such games like third-person action adventures. So using this controller made it quite enjoyable, and actually I might be finally doing a full playthrough of the game. The next quick look will be on Metal Slug X, probably my favorite run and gun series. I love the simplistic gameplay, which is basically shoot everything that's on screen, and the art stuff is awesome. The explosions, the animations of the enemies, everything, I love it. And I'm quite pleased that almost all the games have been natively ported to Android, and if you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend them. Up next, Knights of the Old Republic. This is one of my favorite games. If you haven't played it, pause the video, go play it. Please, I'm begging you, I'm really begging you, go play it. The game offers amazing story, characters, worlds, an interesting and unique combat system that allows you to pause at any time and assess your strategy, or play it real time, controlling your main character and the party that's accompanying you. And while saying that, I'm thinking about doing a complete playthrough with this controller on my phone. A must play for any Star Wars fan. Additionally, there are quite a few racing games on Android that have full gamepad support, and one of those series is Asphalt, a quick and enjoyable game series that can be played in quick bursts while riding the metro or just trying to kill a few minutes. and it's even more enjoyable using the gamepad instead of the tilt and touch controls. Now that we have checked out a few native Android games, I want to go over something that this controller excels at, that being emulation. If you have a decent enough smartphone with you, this controller can help you make that phone the most versatile gaming device you currently own. Now, some of you might notice that when using this gamepad with a phone, it actually resembles a PSP. So what more fitting than showing PSP emulation, and what better game to show than one of the best games on the system, Metal Gear Peace Walker. Another personal favorite. If you're a fan of stealth action games, I highly recommend taking a look at this game. It has an amazing story and offers unique stealth gameplay. Continuing with the overview of PSP emulation, we'll be checking out Soulcalibur Broken Destiny. Personally, I'm not a big fan of fighting games, but while capturing footage for the video, I actually got into the game and was pleasantly surprised by how easy it was to get into and actually do some okay moves, and the game is actually quite visually pleasing. Now that we have taken a look at PSP emulation, I want to continue with a bit of Game Boy Advance. And first up, we'll be taking a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a fun and simplistic beat 'em up, which gives you the option of choosing your favorite Ninja Turtle, which personally for me is Raphael for life, putting you on the streets beating up gang members. Moving from GBA emulation, we head to GameCube emulation, which actually I recently found out it was made available on the Android platform, and surprisingly it's quite playable at this somewhat early stage. For the purposes of this video, I played through the extremely early section of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. It had a few slowdowns, but actually I could consider it quite playable. If beyond in the game there are no game crashes that prevent you from continuing, actually I think it might be quite enjoyable to play it on your smartphone with a controller like this one. And for the end of the video, I want to check out one last system that is extremely well emulated on the Android platform and is quite fitting for this controller. Actually, this is one of the first ideas that came to mind as soon as I saw this controller, Nintendo DS emulation. The emulation for DS on Android has been extremely well done. The only thing that was lacking was a proper controller to make it enjoyable to play it, and I think you won't be able to find a more suitable controller to play Nintendo DS games on your phone. Okay, so I've been praising this controller since the beginning of the video, and you're probably thinking it has to have a few quirks or issues, and you'll be right. They're not a lot and they're not extremely significant, but in full purposes of giving you the coolest pictures possible, I wanted to share them with you, since if I'll feel a bit bad if somebody bought this controller on my recommendation and found these issues and was not that pleased, kinda would feel guilty. So where to start? Main concern, the analogs don't have separate buttons, meaning you don't have R3 and L3. Depending on some games like Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, the default scheme for the controller has those buttons set up, so while you're playing, those buttons, specifically R3, changes the camera, so you don't have the option to change the camera to go from third person to first person. That's a big issue. Thankfully, the game has 3 total gamepad keys, so you can change to another that doesn't have analog buttons. Another game might not have that option, so you might be stuck trying to use touchscreen controls for some actions on some games. That's a possibility, not a guarantee, but a possibility that you might find such a case. Other thing, the whole process of pairing this controller to another device after you've initially paired it to your phone is a bit non-intuitive, to say the least. To do so, you have to unpair it from your phone first, because if you switch it off and you think, oh, I'm just gonna switch it on and press and hold symbol button under the D-pad and it's gonna go into pairing mode, which everybody would assume, that's not the case here. For some reason, it automatically every time checks if it's in range with the original paired device, and if it is, it pairs. Nothing can stop it. If it has a clear sight to your phone that's been paired, you have to disconnect it from your phone and then try to connect it to another one. I would be extremely happy if the company releases a second version of this controller with correcting some of the issues, or maybe a competitor may take this design and improve on it. But I'm quite happy with the device as is, and now that I'm done with the review, I think I'll be taking quite a lot of time finally using my phone as a portable gaming device, actually using it more than my PS Vita or my Nintendo Switch. So until next time, wish you all the best and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.